President Biden makes a visit today to the Gila River Indian community in the West Valley, trying to pick up Native American votes and support for Vice President Kamala Harris.
But he's officially here to apologize on behalf of the federal government to the Native American community and the longtime abuse at boarding schools. Fox 10's Brian Webb is live at Steele Indian School Park tonight with the details on today's visit.
This is Mr. Biden's first trip to a reservation as president, and the first time any U.S. president has officially apologized for the abuses that lasted nearly 150 years. Native American chants start a somber occasion. From the early 1800s through the 1960s, tens of thousands of Native American children were taken from their families and placed in government-approved boarding schools, like Steele Indian School in Central Phoenix. The children were often neglected, physically, emotionally, and sexually abused, and forced to forget their tribal traditions. At least 1,000 children died during that time, according to a federal report. President Biden says an apology is long overdue.
Truth must be told. The truth must be heard all across America. But this official policy is only one step toward and forward from the shadows of failed policies of the past. That's why I've committed to working with indigenous communities across the country to write a new and better chapter in our history, to honor the solemn promise the United States made to tribal nations to fulfill our federal trust and treaty obligations. It's long, long, long overdue.
Many people here today had family members placed in these boarding schools in the past. They say acknowledgement and apologies are a good first step.
Acknowledgement, and I think that's amazing that he actually acknowledged that and actually put things in place to start healing.
That sincerity comes across not only behind closed doors, but I felt it here again today. There's a sincerity with the words that are being expressed, and I take that to heart.
President Biden also touted the billions of dollars he sent to Native American communities across the country for things like roads, health care, and internet access, including $80 million to the Gila River Indian community. In Phoenix, Brian Webb, Fox 10 News.
Our swing state of Arizona, just 11 days to go until Election Day, and we're learning both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are coming back to Arizona for rallies next week. Down to the final day. They will both be here on Halloween. Donald Trump will be at Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale with Tucker Carlson. And then Kamala Harris will be here as a part of her When We Vote, We Win rally and concert series, with details soon to be announced. Today, both former President Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris are in Texas.
Mr. Trump delivering remarks today in Austin. The former president criticizing former White House Chief of Staff John Kelly, who had told reporters that he thinks his former boss meets the definition of a fascist. Trump said that is nonsense. He repeatedly denied the former Marine Corps general's claims about what he says he heard during his time as commander-in-chief. He was the chief of staff to Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump called these phony stories. Trump also pledged mass deportations of illegal immigrants who commit crimes here as he addressed border security.
Like a garbage can for the rest of the world to dump the people that they don't want. Do you know what they say from that? Their mental institutions are being emptied out, their jails and prisons are being emptied out, and their gangs and their drug dealers and everybody's being taken off the streets.
Now, following this rally, the former president recorded an interview with Joe Rogan Experience podcast, and afterwards he headed to Michigan for a campaign rally there tonight. Kamala Harris holding a campaign rally in Houston.
The vice president's rally focusing on abortion rights. Democratic Representative Colin Allred, who is running to unseat Senator Ted Cruz, is also attending. The vice president speaking with reporters ahead of the event, calling the state, quote, ground zero when it comes to abortion issues. She also addressed her opponent. Listen.
I also do want to address the comment that Donald Trump made about America being the trash can of the world, whatever he said, something along those lines. You know, it's just another example of how he really belittles our country. This is someone who is a former president of the United States, who has a bully pulpit.
The campaign stops in Texas come as a New York Times Siena College poll shows Trump and Harris tied with just a week and a half left before Election Day.
Democratic vice presidential nominee Tim Walz is coming to the Grand Canyon State tomorrow. The Minnesota governor scheduled to make a campaign stop in Window Rock. Again, an illustration that the Native American vote is very important to the Democrat Party here in Arizona. This is a key voting bloc for Democrats. He then heads to Phoenix for a rally at Trevor Brown High School. Doors for that event open at 3:30.
Today was the last day to request an early ballot. Also today, dozens more early voting centers are opening in Maricopa County, so you can get more information on where and how to vote on fox10phoenix.com. And if you plan to mail your early ballot back, the deadline to do that is on Tuesday.
A teenage boy accused of planning to set off a pipe bomb at the Phoenix Pride Festival. He appeared in court this morning. Marvin Jayla was arraigned as an adult, 1 count of terrorism and conspiracy to commit terrorism. He was arrested before he could carry out the attack. His mother told police his son had been talking to terrorists in an online chat room for months. Investigators found conversations where Jayla said he had a drone to move the bomb.